What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tom Quigley, bringing the latest tips, tricks and techniques for all your contemporary painting and drawing needs, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, it is the second lesson of my current series, which I've branded it as My Surroundings. If you haven't seen the first video, I'll put a link up into the description above, and you can go and watch that video on there. This video is all about based on your recording of your ideas, and a lot of people kind of struggle with the term recording. You think to yourself, recording a video, or where do you hear that term before? All it is almost capturing a moment in time by doing a number of things, to be honest, and that can be either creating a drawing, taking a photograph, recording it through some written annotation, so describing what you saw or what you're intending to do. And today's lesson is just all about drawing, to be honest. Simple, honest drawing. Anyway, I have rabbited on way too much and I'm going to go straight to the video, so hope you enjoy it.
Okay, so ready to start, and the first thing that I do is a 1 centimetre border around the double page, and I do this for presentation purposes. The second thing that we're going to be doing is our title, and the name of this double page is going to be Recording My Ideas, and that's important so everyone looking through your book, whether it be a teacher, an examiner, knows exactly what this page is about. You could also have a subheading which is observational drawing, because that's what you're going to be doing on this page. Now for the lettering, you could do use a stencil, or maybe sticking the word maybe from a printer. But for today's purposes, we're going to be just using the 3-line method, where I use the top and the bottom for each letter, so it's nice and neat and tidy. And once I've done all the basic lines of the word, I start to duplicate each vertical in each letter, and that just makes it look a little bit more fancy, a little bit more presentable. Now here I've taken some pictures. Now, pictures taking is quite difficult, and you've got to prepare yourself that, nothing's in the background, it's on a nice, even surface, and also you're taking it really close up. Now, I've got some colourful images, but I've also printed off some black and white ones. This is going to help me when I do my tonal drawing, because it's a lot easier to draw things when they're in black and white. If you haven't got an image, feel free to use your phone and edit it and turn it to the black and white filter. Now, for the first one, it's going to be a carbon transfer. And you'll need a masking tape, a graphite stick or pencil, and a photocopy. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is get the image and turn it over, and then you're going to use your pencil or graphite stick to put an even coating of graphite on the back of it. And the reason why I use a piece of graphite is just so it's quicker, as it's a larger surface area when using it. Now, as I turn it back over, I'm going to decide where I place it on my page. Now, this is really, really important on the presentation of your page, where you place it, because it indicates where everything else is going to go. Now, I'm just going to keep it on the left-hand side. I'm going to use some masking tape to keep it in place. And then I can use a pen or a pencil to draw over the main outline of it. Now, when using a pen, you can use any colour, because obviously it's not going through the surface. Now, if you've never used a carbon transfer before, it's basically just by applying pressure, the graphite goes onto the page underneath, just to create a faint outline to help you with the rest of your drawing. So as I get the main other sections on there, I'll speed it up for you, and I'm going to think about ready to put some tone into the drawing. Now, what I tend to do is start with the darkest first. Now, when identifying the dark tones, the thing I do is squint through my eyes, and what that does, it eliminates all the medium tone values, so I can just see the lights and the darks. So have a go at trying that if you find it quite difficult to know where the lights and the darks are. Now, as I start to apply where these dark tones are, one thing I will do first is kind of just go over those outlines a little bit darker, just so it's easier for me to see, because sometimes they are a little bit too faint, and just so I make sure that I stay in the lines and I know where I'm drawing. Now, when it comes to shading purposes, obviously we've all heard of cross-hatching, but sometimes I work in a circular way, and this adds a little bit more of a softer approach to shading, and sometimes can be a little bit neater. So you'll see in my drawing I tend to do a little bit of both, of cross-hatching and using the pencil in a circular way to get those nice even coatings of tone. Now, I won't worry about too much of getting the text on there, but I will be worried about trying to get the form and the lights and the darks, because that's going to be the most realistic approach to my drawing. There you just saw me using the rubber. That's how I'm going to get the highlights in there, but don't work too dark because otherwise the lines will not rub out too much. So I'm coming towards the end of this one here. I think there was 3 tubes that I decided to draw in the end. But towards the end of the drawing, you might actually just let it fade out. So it almost integrates in the page, and you'll see me do that a number of times. I just think it looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing in the page. As you can see there where it says the numbers, it just fades out and there's not any harsh edges. Now this is the second drawing. This is going to be using the grid method, and this is a triangular grid method. First of all, write down the measurements on the length and the width, and then I'd like you to draw a line on the 2 diagonals. So I've just done the first one there. And as I come round, then that gives me the center point, which I can do right down the middle for the width, and then also the length on there also. And then what I'm going to do is join it up to create a diamond shape. And then once that's done, I can actually start drawing it in my book. Now, for other people who haven't got any printouts and still want to do a grid method, there is plenty of applications on your phone where you can apply and put a grid over the top, so you can instantly draw from your phone or maybe your iPad or maybe a laptop. So it isn't essential that you do it over the top of the image, but I'm just old school and just like doing it that way. Now, as I've got my grid on both of my images, I can join up each triangle with another. And that's all I'm going to do. So just look at one triangle at a time. Don't be overwhelmed by the whole image. In fact, you can fold it in half so you don't have to look at it if you don't want to. And I'm just going to be light with my lines. And as I just remembered, please be light with the grid in the background, because that's going to be rubbed out afterwards. As I quickly get my image mapped in, I'm not going to put too much detail in there. This materials that I'm going to be using for this one is actually going to be coloured pencil. Just because it's quite an accessible material to use, and it's another dry material, so I don't have to wait for anything to dry. Now there you go, I'm just rubbing out the grid that was in the background, and just like the first one, I haven't got any harsh edges around the edge, and again the drawing almost integrates into the page itself. Now I've just got myself a yellow and an orange. Some people using colour pencil tend to go relatively lightly all the time and don't get enough colour richness into the drawing. Feel free to press a little bit harder on some certain edges, because you're going to get a little bit more contrast when doing your drawing that way. Another thing that I need to tell you about is that you can overlap the colour. So you'll see me with the orange here, and there's the tube that I'm working on. I'll start to work with the yellow integrated over the top, and then I've got a smoother transition of colour. Now I've only got the basics of colours on here, so I can't get the exact colour match that I want. But what I have noticed is that there is some tone or shadow on the edge of the tube. And what I decided to use is what I tend to do in painting, to be honest, is use the opposite colour to desaturate or darken the colour. So here I'm just using a bluey purple to darken that colour there. And you'll find I'll go back in with the yellow or the orange just to harmonise the colour again. And that's just going to really add value to your drawing and hopefully give you some better results. So I'm just going to carry on here, and I'll speak to you when it's done. Okay, so the colour pencil drawing is complete now, and now I've started on my third one, which is the fine liner drawing. And this is just completely freehand. I didn't even do a drawing underneath it. I just wanted to see how it turned out. And to be honest, even if I did something wrong on it, I'm just going to keep on working back into it until I can correct it, because you can just keep on adding pen over the top and almost hide those mistakes, which is a good trick to have. Now, as I just finish off on here, I'm thinking about what I'm going to be putting for my annotation and think about where I'm going to be writing. And I've decided I'm going to write around the artwork. It's always quite nice to do that. And all I'm writing here is just telling the person looking through my book what I've chosen and maybe why I've chosen it. And I've decided I've chosen the painting tubes because I'm passionate about painting and it's something that is personal to me. You might have something personal to you. It could be a hobby or maybe just something that you own. But also, another thing that you can write about is what you intend to do in the future. So following on from this page, what's going to come next? Lead people on to the next thing. You might be using other materials. You also might want to record other objects.
Well, that's it, guys, on the lesson on recording your ideas. Hopefully you found it enjoyable. Hopefully it was informative as always. If you want to see more ways of recording your ideas in a sketchbook, please click up on the pop-up banner above where I show you a past video where I was actually drawing some architectural drawings of buildings, where I actually look at drawing close-ups maybe of things, drawing on different surfaces of paper, but also maybe combining them together and just presenting it in an aesthetic way on the page. The next lesson is going to be all about artist research, where we're going to go in depth about looking at an artist, the way they work, the materials that they use, and just in all how they express their ideas on the page. And you can take some ideas and express yours in your own individual way. As always, guys, stay safe, stay creative, and make sure you enjoy the rest of the week. And I'll see you in the next video. See you later. Bye.